And you're live on Dead Radio.
Yo, everybody. Welcome to another special episode of Dead Radio. With your main man, Bengi is dead. You already know how it goes, man. Today I've got a special guest. You know, we only deal with special guests. How many times I gotta say this? But I mean, if you knew, you know it now. Only deal with special guests. This is like a long overdue conversation with a guy that I could say to a certain degree look up to, solely based on the fact that he's done so many things that communicate low-key the same thing in different mediums, which I find very fascinating and sometimes wish I could try myself, but that ain't me, you know what I mean? Like, a close guy amongst other things, but still. Yeah, you know, we don't introduce our guests. He's gonna introduce himself. So yeah, what's good, brother?
What up, my G?
You good?
I'm chilling, man.
Cool.
My name is Lazi Mathebula. I'm an artist, man. That's what
I mean, that's definitely,
you know?
I wouldn't even box you in like that. I actually wouldn't even allow you to box it in yourself like that in terms of what specific artists you do, because of the different types of mediums you do. I see you even started DJing or, you know, type thing, which we'll get into. But it's just, it's like it's dope, man. It's dope to see someone doing so much, but communicating the same thing, whether it hits or not, but it's almost as if you're doing it for how you feel. But we'll get into that, you know, time goes. Right. So I want to know, like, where you from and, where you from and how do you get yourself into Joburg blood? Because I don't even know where you're from. I just met you in the streets.
I'm from Alex.
For real?
Yeah.
Crazy. I would have never thought.
Right. I'm from Alex. I'm from Giyani, I'm Tsonga, so like, you know, lineage, culturally and all that other stuff. I'm from Giyani, that's where my peoples came from.
Right.
And they settled in Alex. And yeah, obviously my dad's from Soweto. I never met him, but you know, that's, you know, what they say, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, word of mouth. You know, but yeah, I'm from Alex, grew up in Alex. Yeah, man, I'm an Alex kid, man, you know?
Dope, so born and raised in Alex?
Born and raised between Soweto a little bit and then Alex from 6. I mean, I was between Alex and Soweto till I was 6, and then my moms and my pops broke up, and then I guess, I don't know, man, it's like one of those things. And we came back, and then came back to Alex, settled. We've been here, but then started school in Alex. So my conscious, I remember a little bits and pieces from Soweto, but like the stuff that I do remember is Alex. So I'm from Alex, from my conscious state of mind.
Right.
Alex till like 20. Then I moved to the city, and then from there I've been roaming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm kind of settled now. But
so when you say move to the city in 20, what is the reason for you moving to the city? Also, which schools did you go to actually before you even get there? Because that matters.
I went to Bovey Primary School.
Okay. High school?
So hood shit, you know, straight up and down, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Were you problematic? Were you a problematic child?
I was problematic, but I was scared of my mom's because she always put me, like, she made me understand that, nigga, if you fuck up, you're gonna go to jail. Your dad's been there, your brother's been there, don't mess it up. And I won't be there for you, you know what I mean? So because I've seen the life, you know, I've seen like all, you know. Feel
free to drink some dead water for
right.
Yeah,
I will, man. But I've seen a lot in terms of like, you know, growing up in the hood. I've seen a lot of one thing for a long time, so my scale was like tipped like this. I'm a Libra, right? But my scale was more like heavy on the weird shit, like the stuff that happens in the hood.
Right.
And then this part, for some reason, there's a lot of this. It's very heavy, but it took a little bit to tip the scale so that there's a balance, but then also to tip it all the way so that there's less of this and more heavy on the shit that I wanted. You know?
Right.
So I think, yeah, definitely, you know, hood stuff, but as time goes, there was an aspiration of like where I really want to be.
Where did you get that aspiration?
From just, I think, different textures, man. When you know so much of one thing.
But how did you know it?
I mean, I knew a lot of bad shit growing up. Like I've seen, you know, a lot of things, bad things in front of me. I've also, you know, a lot of shit happened, you know what I mean? Like that I won't get into, but I felt there was a lot of heaviness in that. And darkness and, you know, just the hood shit, man. And then when you see a little bit of a difference, like black and white or sepia, you know. Then when you start to see a tint of color, let me say, to make it easy, it's like, it's cold, it's raining, it's gloomy, it's gray, it's all of that. a little bit of sunshine, that's where I'm like, oh, there's this.
You gravitating towards that because you're
felt,
fascinated.
yeah,
right.
I felt different when I started watching TV. You know, we all have, those moments where like, oh, damn, what is this? Oh, damn, there's this up the road, in the sense that Rosebank is right here, Senton is right there,
So you're curious.
Yeah, I'm curious, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, damn, so it's possible. And then I just started looking more into that with the heavy and the dark and the gloomy stuff that's happening on the side, because growing up with single mom, just rough shit, man.
How many siblings do you have?
I have like 3 other siblings. There's like 4 of us.
Okay.
Yeah, quite tight, but great, thankfully, because that shit never really happens like that.
100%.
And I have other brothers outside of, my biological siblings. I have like, brothers like from my mom, my mom's sister, my mom's brother. So I have like, it's a lot of us, but I think the tight knit of the 4 of us is the solid one, because that's, that's what you want,
Right.
Yeah. And
cool. 20s, move to the city. Why are you moving to the city?
I'm moving to the city because this cat is like, yo, I have this company. So I went to Vega, right? Studied graphic design at Vega, but not like the typical 3-year thing. It's like a bridge course, like a year learnership. You figure it out, and maybe they put you to school. So, I was very, like I told you, a little bit of lightness or like whatever sun on this side.
Yeah.
I'm going for it,
Right.
And I can multiply that into a season.
Right.
Because I knew it. So when I saw there was like this thing about just getting out of this thing, and there was this creative thing that I had, this instinct, to just be creative. And there was an institution that can allow me to express that.
Right.
I didn't care how it came up, So obviously, I was not a typical kind of cat, like where I want to do mathematics or science and major in like engineering. I wasn't that kind of person.
Okay.
I knew that it's either music, it's either fashion, it's either art. Those 3 had to be a part of it,
Okay.
And so I gravitated towards people that dressed in a certain way, had their hair done in a certain way, had like certain kind of energy,
Right.
And I think that's where it started for me. And then Vega became a thing where in the hood there was like a little imagination lab where that's the only place I could see weird people that I see on TV.
Right.
Because they're wearing like Grand Prix Adidas, some 501 Levi's, some, crop, like it was like, wow, this is it. Like some, back in the cut it was more like knitted stuff,
Right.
the Erykah Badu, Common, aesthetic,
Right.
In the hood, you're like, nah, that is where I want to be, So gravitated towards that, and then became part of the Imagination Lab. Funny enough, most of the people that I'm good with, or people that I looked up to, also went to the Imagination Lab.
Oh,
Okay, my uncle
crazy.
Cat went to the Imagination Lab. A lot of people, they know themselves, but like to make that point, he went there, and I was like, when I met him later on, he's like, yeah, I actually did that. So I'm like, there's something in the water of that,
Imagination Lab.
and the people that come into that space, because we come from these places and we're trying to have an alternative lifestyle within the actual, gloomy, gray, and all that stuff that we're around,
Cool. That's insane. Fine. 20.
Yeah, and then this guy from the Imagination Lab says to me, yo, Ntwana, I can see you're very passionate about this. I'm starting a company. He's like
But what were you passionate about
the
specifically?
graphic design,
designing.
illustrations, drawing. So this guy was like the superhero of the whole school.
Okay.
So when they do case studies, nigga, they like, this guy, you feel me?
He's the guy.
He's the guy, I'm like, damn. So he approaches me and he's like, yo, I want you to come work for Motion Canvas. His name is McDonald, right? He's like, wants me to work for Motion Canvas. So Motion Canvas, we're gonna make t-shirts, we're gonna also do like corporate identities. We're gonna be a little graphic design studio, and then we're gonna have like a little fashion brand on the side. So moved to Braam, stayed with him. We did it for 6 months. Things happened, World Cup, it's just a whole lot of things, and we had to move back to the hood,
Right.
But I had the taste of
What it's
city life, right?
Yeah.
And then 2-3 months later, I was like, nah, I'm taking the risk. Told my mom, I was like, yo, Mom, I need to leave because I can't do it here, and I'll figure it out, And then I moved to the city, in other ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, moved to the city in other ways. And then, eventually I moved to the city in my way. I've never really shared apartments with niggas, so I don't really have that thing. I've always lived by myself or with a shorty, So at the time I was living with a shorty. And then, it was cool, but then it didn't last long because obviously, I'm young, I'm trying to, and one of those things.
I get
but
it.
then I moved to my own little space. I wanted little because I was like, I can maintain this.
Yes.
In the dungeon, my nigga.
How are you maintaining it though?
No, I was working. I mean, I popped off a little bit, I was doing some work.
Okay.
I was, hot in the
Freelancing
plug.
or you had a job?
I had a job, quit the job in 2014, and I'm a little older at the time. But before that, I moved. No, when I was 2012, I had a job. I've been working because this thing is 2009. I'm in school. 2010, I'm not working.
Okay.
And then I'm freelancing a little bit here and there. And then later on, 2011, I get a job, but they want me 4 times a week.
Okay.
There. And then 4 times a week, I move, I do my thing, and then I'm like, okay, I think, and they pay me good, but I was like, I need something solid. So I was getting paid about maybe 11K a month.
That's good, nigga. 2011.
11K, no, actually, no, not 11K. I was getting paid maybe 9K.
Still good.
Right. But I'm getting paid 9K, and then I had to quit to
Why?
go work at an actual advertising agency.
Oh, crazy.
And I started getting paid 4K.
Wow.
Right. So
okay.
as an intern, we're getting paid 4,000, but I'm like, at least I'll get experience,
Right.
of how the industry works. Because where I was working, we're doing packaging, and I'm like, this is cool, but I don't want to do this. I want to do.
It's like being it's like an office job. Like you're doing the same thing, and you're not really ever doing anything outside of a comfort zone.
And those jobs are like, if you're doing like packaging, they got a they got a bag, they got a tender for maybe Unilever. They do all their packaging.
Right.
There's gonna be one person that's gonna be a superstar, and this lady, she was like about 55.
Yo.
She's friends with the owner, it's very knit, but they brought me in because of the creative, the flair, balance out, maybe I can learn some things, and like an assistant, So I wasn't really getting the ropes, and I was like, I just want to go do something else that is within what I'm trying to do,
Okay.
So when I moved to like advertising, which is what I wanted to do because I studied advertising in school, right? So I went there, started interning, but then in that office, I mean, it's advertising space, but I became an anomaly, to everybody. And I think that's been the energy for a long time.
Right.
Where people know you're great, but beyond what you could see, because we come like this, you know what I'm saying? They don't know this. They don't know these kind of people. So, then there's a guy there who became like, he was like a big guy, like somewhere COO or whatever at the top, right? And then he's like, you're a special person. Not in a crazy way, but like you're special because you dress the way you dress, the way you think, the way you do things. This is not gonna work for you. But I will just need to tell you that. But eventually you'll come to the terms,
Oh, dope.
I'm like, okay, cool. So I move up the ranks. I get paid about 6K now. I moved to like Empire.
Right.
At a digs, like a student digs.
Right.
I tell the owners that I'm a student, In the hood, niggas thought I've been getting money saying that I'm a student.
Right.
I don't want the smoke in the hood saying, So I will be getting go up for like 3 years. And they was like, yo, you still I'm like, I'm at school, my nigga. Until I moved out the hood, I was like, you know what I'm saying? So I even went to live in the digs to say I'm at school, but I was getting paid,
Right.
And it worked out. It helped me out a lot because then I was closer to the city, and Braam at the time was starting out, So yeah, that was it. And then but the story has like different trajectories and different moments with different people in it,
Right.
So
Because we're definitely going to talk about the key ones. Okay, cool.
Right.
So you're working at this job. So at what point do you decide to do it yourself? Or by
I've been
yourself?
doing it myself, right? So 2012, dog, I proposed to these guys at work, like, yo, I think these pieces would make sense so I'm trying to do different things. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to pitch interior design. For my office, with me working as a designer for it.
Okay.
So I was like, I have this idea to make decals, for the office to say toilet, but make this nice graphic illustration, cut it out and make a decal, Just coming up with ideas, man, they bombed them. Boom, 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 Funny enough, I was like, okay, whatever. So I take the same ideas, I apply for Design Indaba, Emerging Creatives for 2012. Through One Small Seed. There used to be a publication called One Small Seed. And, through that, I entered this thing, dog, like literally innocently, like not even thinking that I would get in. I get in.
What?
Now, with the same idea that I gave to these guys, And then I'm like, this is wild. So now I'm quiet. This is about November when I get told that, you're in. So I keep quiet. I don't tell them in the office.
Yeah.
So then there's a meeting. The meeting is like, yo, there's people that need to go to Design Indaba next year. Just to go, in advertising, people go into to go get inspiration. So
Right.
they fly you guys out and da-da-da. I'm quiet. So we don't make the cut, me and my nigga Sam, you know. Sam is my man from Cameroon. He was my partner. He's a copywriter and I'm an art director.
Right.
So me and Sam don't get the cut. I'm quiet. I'm looking at these cats, you know. But also, to me, it's like I don't believe that this shit is actually happening for me.
Right.
You get me? So now this guy's like, we're going to fly you out. Designing that will fly me out. You get a stipend. You get a hotel.
This is Designing Tower.
Right. Now these guys are announcing that there's people that are going to go there. So they pick whoever's going to go, you know? And then 2 weeks later, I tell them now, it's closer to December, it's quiet in the office. I tell them like, yo, Sarah, I'm actually going to go. I'm going to Designing that. You know? She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. She's like, no, you're not. Would like to go, but I think it's a tight budget. I'm like, no, actually I am because I'm exhibiting there. You know? She's like, what? I'm like, yeah. I got picked. They picked me to. She couldn't believe it.
I wouldn't believe it either, dude.
She's like, oh no, what? I'm like, yeah. You know what they did? So there's this job bags. So they give you a job bag as a job. So any job comes in a job bag.
Yeah.
So if you're working on Dead will come. They'll have a Dead job bag.
Okay.
2, 3, 4, 5. That's that client.
Sure.
They created a job bag called Lazi Mathebula, Designing that, so that I'm not disturbed for 2 months. I have to prepare the work for me to go. Now they trying to put me as priority.
Right.
Whereas they didn't, with the same idea that I proposed to them.
Right.
You know?
So now they're trying to make you represent the company.
The company.
So they don't want you to go as an individual, even though they didn't select you, because they saw that there's a position where they can get value out of someone, out of not having enough budget, basically.
But they should have believed in me.
Yeah, of course.
But this guy did say, right, like, yo, this guy, you gotta be careful for this guy. He's very dangerous. I'm not dangerous. He's dangerous in the way he thinks. I would never let anything stop me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, if I feel like I need to do something, I'll do it. So now that was like testament, you know, like to say, Ndwana, never ever think that people, you know, should be, you know, your point of validation, you know?
Dope.
Even no matter how big they are. And I've had those, like, to this day, my nigga, I get through like some rooms where I'm like, if I had to think, you would have told me that you can't do it there or you can't make it there, and then I make it there. Because you can't decide my fate, you know?
Right.
So that happens. Now they're like, yeah, I want to give you some cash. You know, I'm like, of course. I'm young at the time, so they played me. You know, gave me not as much money as I think now, understanding what it was.
Right.
But I didn't care, because what I care is like, it's like when Tupac got money from the cops because they hit, you know, for jaywalking. He was like, I don't care. As long, imagine a nigga with a Thug Life tattoo getting paid by the police.
Right.
That's enough for you, right? So if someone who doesn't believe in you pays you, it's like,
you force them to believe you.
I'm like, nigga, give it to me. I don't give a fuck how much it is, you know?
Just give it to show that I did it.
Yeah, to show you that I did it, and you now have to come back to these terms.
So what happens now?
Now I go to Designing Indaba, dog. I make maybe like 12K, maybe like 5K first day. I make like maybe 3K next day. This is like early days where we're selling teas for $200. We're selling
crazy. That means you're moving product.
Bruh, I've been doing this thing, right? Last day, my nigga, I lose money, dog. So I had to save. Last day, maybe I made about 6K. Hey, dog, I lose it. The wallet, boom, gone. So almost like half of that was like for that, you know?
Crazy.
But I looked at it like, I didn't beat myself too hard, because the thing about the money is that, were you able to make the money? Yes. That means you're going to be able to make it again.
Yes.
You know?
If you do it once, you can do it
twice. Right. So I was like, yeah, this is like I'm a kid at the time. So of course, 6,000 Rand was like 60,000 back then.
Yeah, you're heartbroken.
I'm heartbroken, but the fact that we did that.
And you touched it.
And this is this, right? Because back in the cut, designers, if you could sell to black people, it's a different thing. And I'm not saying this in a racial manner, but I'm trying to make you understand something. If you design in 2012, in 2008 there's Ama Keep Keep. And Ama Keep Keep is bought mainly by black people.
Yes.
And they did have like white people buying too.
Yes.
Then there was like other brands.
But it was white people buying it to try to fit into the black people.
Right. So we knew what it was.
Yes.
And then there's other brands that came in, like Big Blue would do things that white people would maybe gravitate towards. Because it's more nostalgic and blah, 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 domestic, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I sold to people. At the time, my mentality was different. I was like, yo, I'm selling to an old white lady.
Right.
It's not saying anything
They just think it's dope.
Yeah, that's it. You feel me?
That's it. Like,
it's not
a
I'm
deep
trying to
thing.
fit in. I'm not trying to know. It's like,
They just think it's dope.
yo, this is nice. I like this. I was like, I can sell to like racial people.
Right.
You feel me? I'm a kid from
That means
Alex. Nigga,
basically
like,
what you're saying is it means your imagination is that wide.
you feel me?
To
like
fit into
4 years,
any room.
4 years ago, I'm in Alex.
Right.
You feel me? I live in Alex 4 years ago. And then 4 years later, I'm in Cape Town selling to people who don't really care. Not they care, but they're not.
They just think it's
it.
dope.
They
man.
just think it's dope. You feel
They
me? So I
don't
was
care
like,
about the story. They don't care about. They just think it's dope.
so for us, for me, it was validation to say there's an element of the idea of globalization and being able now, we're able to translate globally.
Right.
With
right.
the music or with the art or with the designs that we do. So at the time, dog, that shit put me on a place of, Ndwana, your ideas can get there.
Right.
They don't have a face. Because usually Kwal would sell because it says Kwal and black people is a majority and they understand that, you know. Wanda, we had that, it would sell because it says, you know, even now, the lazy designers, I'm still saying it, like lazy t-shirt printers, like, Kiwile, you know, Katsamaya, you know, because we know it's a cheat code. But I was like, no, let's go to a place where they don't understand it, but the language, the design language.
They gravitated towards that.
Yeah, you know, so that kind of started my thinking on maybe when I move in a way that does not necessarily talk to people, like a certain kind of people as a target market, but I talk to a wide range.
I think it's, sorry to interrupt you, I think it's a conversation that I had with someone on the episode, right? Like where they were like, they hate this notion of a black kid from the hood who's like the story, you know the story. We all know the typical story. And he's like, he hates that narrative because that's like our easiest selling point. And outside of the product itself, it's almost like you're begging people to buy the product.
You are.
Because you're like, yo, there's a product made by a black kid from the hood with nothing in my pocket, and this is what I made, so you have to appreciate it. And it's almost like the support local motion. Like, don't support it, dude. Buy the product because you like it.
What did I say? Like, when I buy the stuff that you make, I buy it because I think it stands. I can go to London now, and someone will ask me, whoa, what is that?
Right.
That's what I want.
Right.
It's not about, because also the taste levels differ, right? So we also have to create stuff that we with our taste levels and our associates and people that are around us can be like, yo, I mess with that. I can balance it out with the babes. I can balance it out with the Levi.
So universal taste level.
Yeah, you get me.
Language.
So even from then, I was like, I can't do, because I had a t-shirt before called Cheese Boy and Cheese Girl, and it's a rat eating cheese.
Right.
That's my first ever t-shirt. Oh,
right.
Yeah, but my first ever t-shirt was actually a sewn Nike by my aunt. I asked her, I bought a yellow tee, and I was like, can you please do a swoosh? You know, she hand embroidered a swoosh for me. I drew it, and then she had embroidered it. That was like, I would say my first design t-shirt. And then I did the Cheese Girl, Cheese Boy to start out. Then we did motion canvas. That kind of started the whole graphic element. And then I did my first exhibition t-shirt. Was it 2010? Yeah, in Braamfontein. Before the first people to move to Braam, the first people to be tenants of what you guys see, what you guys see there. The first tenants were this lady called V. She sold vintage stuff, and then there was Roy. Roy used to move Bam Bam, right? Bam Bam was a t-shirt collective t-shirt. So. And Andy Lebuga, I love you, my nigga. He used to work for Roy. That's how I met Andy Le then. So Andy Le used to work for Roy as an assistant in the shop when they're selling t-shirts.
Right.
And then I go there with MK Fresh, you know, to say, yo, Roy, I knew Roy because of Instagram, because Roy became a first Instagram ambassador in this country to be sponsored by iPhone, because he used to do like iPhoneography. He started that in the country.
Crazy.
Yeah. So Roy also had a t-shirt company, or t-shirt production company and a t-shirt company. So you do like a collective of artists, say 10 cats, design tees, we put them up on exhibition. The first t-shirt exhibition in the country was that guy. The first opening of Braam was one of the guys, Envy and Lomography and other people around and Post. But I'm saying I was there when this shit started.
Right.
When niggas say, I was there when Braam was dead and no one was there. And we were trying to make it happen, right? So my first t-shirt exhibition exists there. what happens there. And then this guy used to have a t-shirt brand, t-shirts. I'm still saying t-shirts. This guy has a t-shirt brand in the hood called Broke, with a 5 cent. Broke, right? But he had a t-shirt brand called Broke, with a 5 cent on it, and that was the first time where people could identify with things in the hood.
Right.
So I would rock the tee and like, yo, hey, let's keep a listen to 5 cent with the Broke. That's funny. And then this guy was like, yo, let's work, you know. I can get your stuff printed. Da, da, da,
Is this during?
This is early days, right?
Early days.
I'm not going chronologically, but it's like, I'm just trying to get, I'll come back to it, but I'm just trying to, there's something that's going to attach to you too. Okay. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
So it comes around, this guy, doesn't work out, so now we beef it, me and him. I'm like, nah, but da-da-da-da, we're supposed to do these matric jackets, you know, remember, like in a cut, you know?
Yeah.
So he cut me through the stuff that we're supposed to do with the matric jackets. But then I'm like, nah, F you, dog, I'm out of here, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
You can keep the design, whatever, I leave. When I leave, I start this thing with Roy. Then Roy, I give him the design, the most complicated design, like maybe 6, 7 layers, back in the cut, you know? And they do it like it's glass, but it's screen printed. So this guy, so I'm rocking this t-shirt now, the one that I did, right? It's like a white with a face. Now I'm wearing this tee, I'm in the hood, this guy's like, we don't talk with this nigga, and we're in a public place where it's like, it's a party thing situation. He sees me, he stops me, he's like, yo, where'd you get the t-shirt? I'm like, this is my t-shirt, you know what I'm saying? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I designed this. He's like, I printed that. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I printed that t-shirt. It was like 7 layers. It was a pain to print. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, no, I work for Inner City Inc., where they print these things.
So you worked for Inner City Inc.?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Right. At the time, it was in Panage. This is
insane. So
now, full circle, he's like, actually cut Roy, the middleman, because Roy said he's the one that's printed. But it's not. This guy's a printer. So now we cut Roy, and then we go straight to the source. That's when I make prints. When I make prints,
so Prince been there?
Yeah, Prince been there. Prince, then I started linking niggas to Prince. So when I talk about these things like...
So you were the glue?
Bruh, for a lot of niggas. Even, obviously, eventually people find out and whatever, but when we did that, like, because I had to direct link to him, because it was going to stay with Roy.
Right.
Which I love, Roy, you know what I'm saying? But he also, you know, left the business eventually. But I'm just saying, like, so... The whole thing, like, it started early and it started in its own ways. That's why I have, like, so much experience in this thing, from connecting with people to, like, understanding production to other things too, you know?
Okay, now I need to find out something.
Yeah.
Because we're going too far. I want to know from the design Indaba, right? I need us to come back here, right? From the design Indaba, when does Beautiful Boy start? Does Beautiful Boy start? Not obviously exactly after, but is that a brainchild you create after that place in your life, or is there something in between that?
So Grey Spaces becomes that. That's the stuff I was selling in Cape Town.
Okay.
So Grey Spaces, I guess, I understood it differently, like grey matter, you know, like more like, so Grey Spaces, like not black, not white.
Right.
It was like more, and I didn't understand the idea, but people understood it.
Right.
From a different perspective. Like it was almost like a middle. Where
it was open-ended. It was like abstract art.
Yeah, you know. And then, so with that, I couldn't move Grey Spaces properly in the hood, like here, because it wasn't...
went over people's heads.
It wasn't Namakip, it wasn't like Kwal, it wasn't...
It went over people's heads.
I know, whatever it was. It wasn't that. It was more like a little bit more conceptual. But people that bought, they still have them, and they understood what it was. This year was crazy. Actually, now that I think about it, let me tell you 3 designs that I did for designing that. I had one, it was a tub.
Okay.
Guess what it said?
What?
Bath or something.
Okay.
Wash, shower, something like that, like bath, right?
Okay.
There was a cup. Guess what it said?
What?
Drink.
Okay.
There was a steak. Guess what it
eat.
said? Eat, right?
Okay.
Now what Virgil does with the impression is like, it's more like impressionism with like Duchamp, the artist that did like turned the urinal into like a sculpture and said, this is an art piece because of the way it's made.
Yes.
Turn a toilet a porcelain because of the material that is used.
Yes.
So this is like, dog, it's crazy actually, because we've been there. When Virgil came with the rug and say, grass.
Wet grass, yeah.
You get me? Shit like that is like, you know, it's like Virgil, what he did for culture. And it's like, so what I was doing then, I'm not saying that I know, but it was like there's alignment to the
Yes.
stuff that we were consuming and the kind of idea that I wanted people to kind of see and know me for, you know?
Right.
So yeah, it was like, yeah, man, it was crazy. Also like the trajectory, but being part of so many things at the same time, and but also being part of me and also being part of what I want to do, you know? Not
Right.
necessarily assimilating to other people's things, but being like true to me and kind of help
active
them.
and chasing.
And the people also around me were always like celebrating the fact that I came out as an individual, you know? And that
So
shit
now-
was fly.
Okay, so you call it gray what? Gray space.
Yeah, great spaces.
Okay, gray space, what's next?
Great spaces, then obviously, you know, there's the zeitgeist, you know, the Braam thing happens.
Yeah,
We are now getting, because as an illustrator, I was great spaces also.
right.
So I started getting commissioned by brands, started working with like Red Bull, worked with Nike. This is early, so that was like very, you know, the money wasn't good.
Which
but
year
the
do you think it
credibility-
was?
Huh?
Which year do you think it was?
2014.
Is that
know?
where you also start with the artworks? Because that,
But I had already started from Design Indaba, you know?
Okay.
Because I was like, the reason Design Indaba popped off, because then I got articles, you know,
Right.
interviews, and then I showed some other illustration stuff that I was doing, and that people, at the time, there was MI Collective, which was like the illustration collective, Illustrators Collective, and I
Right.
was working solo as an independent illustrator,
yeah,
and they were like a collective, and I wanted to join them, but obviously things didn't work out that way, you know? So it became a thing where companies started looking at individual illustrators because we were cheaper,
yes.
and collectives were expensive because
Yes.
like for
You're paying for a company.
yeah, and they would pay like a hefty price, you know,
Right.
like maybe 150,000 for an illustration, and with us you pay like 20, 30 max at the time, you know.
Right.
So they looked at that and they started moving towards that, and a lot of people looked at what I was doing and they started doing that too, and commercialization of like independent illustrators kind of started there with me, Riot. And some other guys, like, you know, there was a collective, Nick, you know, Nick from
Yes.
from Father
For
Coffee.
coffee, yeah.
He had a studio called Says Who,
Okay.
illustration studio with him and his.
So you
home.
guys, so basically you boomed around the same time as Sindiso.
No, Sindiso, he was part of the MA collective, so he boomed before me.
Okay.
But there was a guy called Crunck.
Okay.
Crunck did he did a first South African collaboration sneakers was Crunck for 2012 for 2010 World Cup.
Okay.
He did some dunks. No, he did. I don't know if he did a dunk. Could have done a dunk, but he did like some stuff for Nike.
Okay.
Like, so for World Cup, Nike had commissioned different illustrators from different countries to do like a Spain, a South Africa, a Germany, whatever. Maybe there are like 5, Netherlands also. And those people were representing Nike, you know, design-wise for the merch.
Right.
That was like global merch. So Crunck was one of the people that I looked up to as an illustrator and as a graphic designer, and we made toys. So Sindiso worked with Crunck in Cape Town.
Right.
And then he was also part of MI Collective. And whenever I say, yo, man, I want to join MI, he would say, nah, don't do it. Because MI Collective will never help you in the way that you need. Just keep doing what you are doing, because that's what's happening now.
Dope.
You might not see it, but it'll happen, where they're now looking at you guys as us as individuals, because we are not as expensive, but we can do the work just as much as they can, you know?
So you started illustrating, being commissioned
Yeah.
around the Braam boom.
Yeah.
Let's call it a Braam
Yeah,
boom.
yeah.
The gold
Yeah,
rush.
I could say that actually.
Okay,
I can
okay.
own that I was a part of.
And that gives birth to beautiful boys.
Not even.
Damn.
It's
still
still,
go
yeah, there's still a long way, because I do the illustrations. I work with Red Bull, work with Nike, work with Auto Trader, I work with Ford, I work with
Yeah, the Ford shit was dope.
Recoffee, I work with, I'm like, at the
So
time,
you've worked with
Ray-Ban.
Drew Coffee twice? Because I know there's a most
Recoffee.
recent one. Yeah.
No, the new stuff, like the murals and
Yeah.
that was like the new stuff. I've done like a 10 before
Yeah,
they
I
made
saw that.
the back in the cut ones, you know?
Okay.
Done stuff with them.
That's still
done
before
stuff-
beautiful boys.
Yeah. Done a lot of stuff with, like, that's when the commissions were coming in, you know?
Right.
And then obviously other people with their perspective came in. So it's like, oh, we like his style, we like her style. And then they would move with
Was
that.
it still not about the money?
Oh, I mean, in terms of,
Like
there's
the
now a
commissions,
lot of
'cause
us.
obviously that's creating credibility though.
Right, but yeah, because also now Instagram is booming
Yeah,
differently.
you're booming, right?
You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, but they liked what I had to say.
Right.
And they enjoyed, so when I check out interviews and stuff like that, they're like more interested in like the way he thinks, his story and stuff like that, what I'm representing, you know? So there was now a lot of others that are coming into
Right.
the game. So now like the pie still big enough for everybody, but now we're splitting it, you know.
Okay.
And then that's when Beautiful Boys, the idea of like merch kind of comes back again. So I drop Gray Spaces again, and then it doesn't do well.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, maybe there's a misconception because I'm good at this, but I don't know why is it that they not get it, you know? So me, Wanda, well, Satists, you know, are there, Dead is there, because you came before me, I think. When did you drop?
2017?
Nah, can't. Is it?
2017, yeah, no, 20, wait, let me think about it, bro, I gotta think.
Because I'm 2015, right?
Yeah,
and I started with a
definitely
sticker.
2017, 2018.
Okay, so 2015 I do.
But before that, I was definitely in Braam.
Yeah, but I'm trying to understand, because it was trash. But
It was around the same time as Dead. Yeah.
Okay, 2015, I called Wanda this time, like, yo, Antoine, I have this idea, just sit down. Because I want to start a t-shirt brand called Beautiful Boys. What do you think? I'll call you after 2 minutes. I hang up. He calls me after like a minute. He's like, yo, that shit is crazy. I'm like, cool, I'll do the logo. I do the logo. The first logo, I send it to him. He disapproves. And I'm like, okay, cool. We'll do another one, and then we'll sit down, we design a logo with Wanda. And then he's like, yeah, this, I think, is the one, you know? We do the logo, and then I do stickers. But before, I do a rollout on social media, calling myself a Beautiful Boys the whole week. So I take photos of myself, say
This
Beautiful
2015.
Boys. Yeah.
Imagine.
And I'm like, Beautiful Boys, Beautiful Boy, Beautiful Boy. Go to Braam, bump into Smee. He's like, hey, Beautiful Boy. I'm like, they caught, you know? So I get stickers. Now I put them around. People started calling me Beautiful Boy because of Instagram was like quite personal at the time.
It was.
So that translated easily to brand.
Yeah, we were like, Instagram back in the day, you know, when I think about it, I get a rush.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because it's like,
It was beautiful.
we used to dress up and conceptually take a picture for the gram.
For the gram,
Like
yeah.
we were actually doing it for the gram.
You saying that, I can even imagine, I can see the interface.
Honestly speaking,
The
like,
small square interface with the iPhone 4. The iPhone
Bro,
4 Instagram was flat.
like for real, go to
know?
Father Coffee. You know,
Yeah.
you had to get a picture at
You
Father
had
Coffee,
the
bro.
bench. And when that thing was built, we were looking at the window out when the guys were building Father Coffee. Then, and so that's why I'm saying, like, we were a part of, like, obviously I was there when this shit was happening and I was contributing heavy. And then Beautiful Boys, then I was like, ish. So I tell Wanda, I was like, cool. But then I drop a t-shirt and I was like, maybe Beautiful Boys would make sense as a DJ crew.
Yeah.
But now I didn't know. I wasn't referencing Virgil with Bentrill, with him, Heron, and Matt. You know what I'm saying? Like when they did their shit with DJ.
Yeah.
Because that's what Bentrill was at the time. Like Bentrill and, you know, when they were doing, it's like there was like this parallelism, man, in what I was doing and what they were doing. But I was doing it with the mind of like, I think this look cool like this, you know?
Okay.
So then Beautiful Boys, we have our first show. And our first show, we were supposed to have it at poolside or whatever. And then, you know, I had t-shirts, 10 t-shirt samples, you know how it works with the tags and stuff still. And then in that's when it started, because when I had the tees, I think Wanda wore a tee, Bob the stylist wore a tee, it was like just circulating, you know?
Yeah.
And then we started shooting things and it just blew up like from there. And then people wanted it, like, yo, I want that Beautiful Boys t-shirt, I want everybody. And then it's like, oh, okay, this is working out. And then, yeah, I removed units, you know, I was like, yo, this shit is good, you know? So then that sort of like took me away, not away all the way from illustrations, but like, I wasn't only looking at that to make money, because we're now in that circle of illustrators, but then the brand was also endorsed by other illustrators.
But as an independent,
like,
more so independent. So you shining, fine, I'm an illustrator, you're an illustrator, but you're wearing a Beautiful Boys t-shirt. So now I'm shining in two ways. I get it. So how does, because now I'm assuming it was not necessarily you and Wanda or the Satchers like moving it. How does it now become like a Lazi thing?
No, it was a Lazi thing from Get, you know.
I get you, but it was like, how do I make an example? It was like, let's say, you know when Kanye was part of Louis, I don't know what the group was called, but when they designed the Louis Vuitton Don, like around that era where they were moving around in briefcases, like at that point in time, all those guys were part of a clique, right? And there was no individualism in anything they were doing at that point in time. And I think to a certain degree, that's why like the Louis Vuitton, it only hit later. It didn't hit around that period though.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think it was attached to that group. But the minute
we didn't know what was going on.
Exactly. The
Big
minute they
with those
cited
guys.
him as an individual,
Yeah.
and now we see him moving as an individual, even though there's creative inputs from the same people, but it's Yeezy. You
Right,
understand?
right,
Like
right,
even the Yeezy, because the follow-up shoe from that was the Nike Yeezy.
Right. But it came almost at the same time with the Yeezy. Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
That shined though. It shined because that was more so of an individual. I get it, but when does Beautiful Boys now become a thing of Lazi is doing it? Because the logo was already a collaboration with Wanda. You get what I mean?
Right,
And the pushing of the brand was a collaborative effort from a group of people pushing this one narrative. And then when does it get to a point where I'm pushing this narrative and I'm gonna change the narrative to what I think it should be now? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I hear you. It's a tricky one because when we start, I like to start things innocently with people because I
Yes.
love creating. So sometimes I do things thinking that maybe people will understand it, maybe
Right.
those that you work with, you know. And sometimes maybe that's not their path, you know.
Right.
And I realize that no. I think I'm not trying to push it through my G's because it might not work out because they got their own things going, you know. But I appreciate their help.
I get-
Like for instance, X shot, like there's this photo that he shot, you know. And whenever, it's like when Xavier shoots, you're like, yeah, that's X that shot that. That was like the iPhone 4 days.
Right.
We understood credit then because
Right.
if it's shot by Kabelo, it's gonna look like this, and man, that's Kabelo that shot that. So even the tagging of who shot the photo was like very important at the time. So I think it was like all of us were like contributing into each other's things,
Right.
whichever way we could.
Right.
And also contributing in each other's lives, like livelihoods, like yo, Antwana, let me hold you here, let me hold me here, let me da. You know?
Right.
We catch a cab, it's 15 niggas in a cab type thing, you know? And I think it's always been a Lazi thing. It's just when I called Wanda, I was like, I want you to creative direct the idea.
Yes.
And he did, and it stopped where it stopped, and it started when it started. You know? But the brand itself, I already kind of had where it was gonna go.
Okay.
Because of the template of Tumblr, obviously at the time. Remember
Yeah.
there was a brand called these guys Vintage something on Tumblr that I used to follow. They used to do like these bootlegs brand, like a Nike swoosh with a Nike swoosh with a lightning bolt.
Okay.
And they used to have like black and white. That was like black and white times, you know, like
Right.
black T-shirt, white graphic, super minimal stuff. Bintrill actually, you know,
Yes.
that kind of framework. So I used the same framework of like small logo in the front, big at the back.
Yeah.
You know, communicating two things, minimal, but Tumblr aesthetic, you know? So I was on there, we were all on there, and I think the point of relating was, oh shit, we see this thing overseas, but now there's a brand back home that's representing the same thing.
100%.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I totally get it because I think even when we did that, my perspective of that was I wanted, like, okay, I saw, or I still see a T-shirt like this. I see a T-shirt at like a billboard,
Yeah.
right? Or a car or anything. And I hated the fact that there's only one perspective being created. Like it's either the T-shirt in the front or at the back. So why we, like if you look at all our T-shirts, we'll never communicate the same thing in the front and at the back. I totally fucking hate that. I think it's very boring.
Right.
And I feel like you're just creating 500 billboards that all look the same. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, really. So how I viewed it was like, I want you to see the T-shirt like this in front, and then when you turn with me, be like, oh shit, it even got something at the back.
Yeah, it's like I'm giving you two things in one.
That's literally
Yeah.
been my perspective, and it's just crazy that we're communicating low-key the same thing, but with slightly different perspectives,
Yeah.
but it all comes back
Yeah,
together.
Because there were different things that we were doing, you know. And I thought with you're always pushing boundaries. I didn't understand how you'd have like an embroidered T-shirt. I thought that was expensive, you know, to do that. Like even the time to think about, I'm gonna take this T-shirt, send it in. I was like, no, that's too much admin. And I like
Right.
to send 20 T-shirts. They get printed. I pick them up and I dip, you know.
Right.
And I feel like you had like these, like you've always been way ambitious in fashion, which obviously at the time we can see where you're trying to go with this. And today to be here, it's like full circle, but it's like I know where it started. I mean, you
Right.
used to have like these belts, these straps that you used to go and get them embroidered so you can put them in stuff and merch. Like that for me was, this guy's overly ambitious. And that's great, but
Yeah.
nah, dog, are you doing too much? With that, and it was cool that you did what you did, because at the end of the day, when you started doing, I think you did something with Muzi,
Yeah.
and you guys did I don't know, it's a kimono, what it was.
It was an overall.
But before that, there was something you did.
It was a kimono. The kimono
Right.
is really what made the brand.
So when you did that, I was like, okay, now he's getting closer to where he's trying to go. He's minimizing, but he's still going forward. Because with us, production, especially with the CMTs and dealing with all these things, not everything becomes the same thing,
Yeah, you know
Like,
how
not
many people are
everything-
forced?
Yeah.
You know how many niggas are forced with that? That embroidery on the webbing was a
That was
fucking
crazy.
nightmare, bro.
I mean, I know.
Because some of them would not be straight, and I'm telling niggas that, yo, nah, bro, like, this is not gonna work. Like, I can't take this. It's not straight. Dude, there's so many trials and errors. Like, it got to a point where I just had webbings just lying around because niggas just did bullshit.
And for me, that is the art. So when I saw in what you were doing, I looked at it like, he's an artist. Like, because he's not, he's taking it there. I got the time to do this.
I got time.
I got time. And now, fast forward, like what, 5 years later? Now you have what I mean? Like what you're wearing now, your jeans. And now it's not even as loud as it was then in terms of like what you were trying to do, because it's like you found your voice.
Kinda.
Do you get
Almost.
me? But like,
there. But I get
but
you. I
how
totally
you would have,
get you.
and it's like the way you did it now is like, so that's what I'm trying to get to, is that sometimes when you look at those things, I studied a game, and I
Right.
study what everybody else was doing, and I see why we are different, and I see why I need to move the way I move, because I'm like, but I can't do that. He's already there, I can't do that. He's already there.
So that's why Beautiful Boy stopped.
Didn't stop. I just sold it. I just figured, my niggas can run with it, but I don't think I have the time to do it, and I enjoy drawing.
So then you moved to Beautiful Things.
Yeah. So Beautiful Things comes when I open up the shop, actually.
Right.
Because I opened up the shop in 2020, 2021.
Yeah, that's when we were first introduced to Beautiful Things.
You're right.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like as a shop.
100%.
And then we got merch, sells out 2 hours. I got
Crazy.
like 50 units of Beautiful Things. And
Yes.
Beautiful Boys in the shop. But Beautiful Things sells first and quicker than Beautiful Boys.
Crazy.
And Beautiful Boys sells out eventually. But I was like, okay, this is good. You open up a shop today, you make about 15 racks one day. I was like, okay, this is good. So we don't sleep and produce next day. Sells out again. So obviously this thing starts. I'm like, so if I produce, I count people. And when I look at it like if I produce 50 T-shirts, that's 50 people that has a T-shirt.
Yes.
Somewhere around, dog, there's people, now they're your viewers, you talk about viewers on Instagram or whatever.
Yes.
Now you have actual viewers in real life that are looking at this T-shirt, whether they relate or not, but they're looking at it,
Yes.
So now I'm producing another 30 T-shirts, that's 80 people now. Now 20, that's 100. Then it goes, now there's over like 1,000 tees now
Now you
out
have
in the
1,000
world.
viewers plus.
Yeah, you get me?
Yes.
So there's 1,000 tees that are out now
Yes.
in the world that people wear. Like the other day I was going to the park, this white kid is in a Vespa in a Beautiful Things T-shirt, the new one that I just dropped. And I could see it, but I wasn't sure because I liked it. I was like, there's no way I can like anything else outside of some things that I like. And this
Right.
guy is in a Vespa, a white dude in a Vespa. I was like, that's it. And at the back is a graphic that I did. He's passing me like, who are you? Nobody cares who you are. You know what I'm saying? But I did that. So
Dope.
when you get to that point where it's like it explodes, but it wasn't part of the thing. Like
Yeah.
Beautiful Things was a shop. And we're gonna have merch for the store that's gonna sell over time to keep the shit going.
Fuck. So
But then-
basically what you're saying is Beautiful Things, the merchandise started as a merchandise for the store to push Beautiful Boys.
To help it, because I know
To
Beautiful
help
Thick
it.
Boys is gonna sell out, right?
Crazy.
So I'm like, at least in between these drops,
And
some
in
Beautiful-
between us restocking Beautiful Boys t-shirts,
we got
Beautiful
in the
Things.
meantime. But then Beautiful Boys became the meantime. And then Beautiful Things moved. Like the niggas would come.
Fuck.
Yeah, niggas would come to the shop and customize a tee. Like, yo, I want to, and they would do a prepay. I've never done like retail before, but I had methods, like simple methods, like, oh, I want this tee, but I want it, but I'm a size, I'm a blue, I'm a large, and maybe there's a small. And they were like, nah, you come back tomorrow, we'll get it, because why it's heat press, right? So I can go get the tees
Right.
stocked, cut the tags, press the tag, press the front, and press the back, and you have
Done.
the tee by tomorrow. So we have a prepay. I don't know what we call it. Prepay.
Pay as you go. let's call it.
No, you pay before you get it, something like that. But it's like
I get it.
yeah, so you pay and then you get the tea after, you know. So
Take
niggas would
away.
leave their money in the shop and then come back in 2 days to get their T-shirts. We've not done that before. I've never seen that happen like that, you know.
Right.
Where you buy something that's not there and then you get it, you know. That's how they loved beautiful things. I was like, okay, I have a new baby now. You feel
Yeah.
me? And it allowed me to, like, I can stretch it to candles. We can stretch it to merch. We can stretch it, different things like sculptures, toys. It's beautiful things. That's what it says. Like, so you can make a carpet. You can make a fucking bed sheet, you know.
So wait. I need to go back because this is so fucking insane. So you guys open a store.
Right.
You call it Beautiful Things.
Right.
Beautiful Things is meant to host beautiful boys.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But essentially you create Beautiful Things merchandise.
Right.
Cool. As that's happening, now there's a demand for
Right.
Beautiful Things.
Yeah.
Which that's not part of the plan, right? Now you factor into other things that make the Beautiful Things concept bigger.
Yeah.
Because it's Beautiful Things, it could be anything. But that's how I saw Beautiful Things,
Right.
honestly, personally.
That's
like
it.
I saw it as, because I knew you as an illustrator, I know people that have your art in their walls and whatnot. So I saw you as now basically creating an umbrella company that's gonna host all these other things that you do, because at the end of the day, they are beautiful. And therefore, we're calling it things, it could be anything.
Yep.
So now, clearly that's what you're running with, or till now, because I see you
Yeah.
on Facebook still dropping the same way you do, 20 available and whatnot.
Mom and
so,
pops.
So it's kind of replaced Beautiful Boys, Beautiful Things.
Not really, because it became a competition.
But to a certain degree. Because you've dropped more Beautiful Things t-shirts in the past year than Beautiful Boys.
But the guys that are running Beautiful Boys are dropping too. I'm not in their radar. I'm just not seeing that happen.
So we're not on their radar.
We're not, because you guys are on my
Yes.
thing, you know.
Yes,
so
yes.
it's like,
It's a good point.
right. So
Because ratings are quite important.
you know, and it's like, yeah, for me it was like, I didn't know what it was when it started, but I wanted to have a property different from Beautiful Boys, because I knew that with Beautiful Boys,
You're gonna hit the ceiling.
yeah. But and me knowing myself, dog, come
You
on,
can't do Beautiful
Stop.
Girls, because really.
you get me? And it's like, no, we're not gonna do that.
Honestly.
You know, and we can't say Beautiful Boys. You can't, but a Beautiful Boys wanted me to get out of everything I was doing and become a beautiful boy.
Cool.
So become this guy who's gonna say, well, we have a Beautiful Boys party, you know? We have a Beautiful Boys, da 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 da. And I'm like, nah, that's not what I wanna do, but I'll give it to people that can do that.
Right.
And they can run with it. But for
They have
me,
the capacity. You don't have the capacity.
yeah, I'm not, you know, I know my lane, man, you know?
And then-
Like when I say mom and pops, it's like, you know, there's a shop in town that's been there for like ages, selling curtains. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and they always there, and they drop the way they do, and they get support, and they maintaining that. You know, and sometimes when you get a boom, it's like, is it proportionate to your capabilities? Sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes it is. And I think at this point, I realized that I need to balance things based on what I can attain, because I got things to do. You know, I got things to handle. I got, you know, we got bills to pay. You know,
Right.
I got. And I know that with T-shirts,
No.
I'm not gonna lie, but I don't make money to sustain.
You're not buying a car with t-shirts.
No, it's
Respectfully.
liquid. Well, I did buy a car before.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like,
No, but I'm just saying, like, there was a time where you
okay,
could.
not car. Maybe a car's a bad example, but you're not building a life of t-shirts. And maybe you can, but not necessarily to the market that we are trying to
Because you
communicate
do it
to.
first when you start. You're gonna do a good amount of money to do that. You know?
Yeah.
But then as time goes, like now, liquid cash from tees is like 10K max when
Yeah.
I drop about 30 tees, right?
Right.
And 10K production about two and a half, and you know, sourcing T-shirts. That's what like. And now I'm also doing that because I know that I can't get. Also, I'm not trying to put the prices up, because the T-shirts that I make are proportionate to the prices. I can't say because it says Beautiful Things I have to make it 1,000. No, I'm saying it's 500 because of everything that is being included in this. I have to be reasonable to the consumer. But what I'm pushing with Beautiful Things is the narrative. I'm trying to push. It's like doing postcards, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But postcards are out of fashion now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say a T-shirt is a way. I'm trying to be poetical, maybe about some things. I'm trying to be something. I have a crazy idea.
You want to use a t-shirt to push a narrative.
Yeah, narrative that has nothing to do with me being rich from
Right.
that. But I think people can wear it and they can say I'm part of like this kind of little movement that
Right.
Lazi is doing, you know? So
now, Beautiful Things, find that moves. And in between that, I don't know, I think that happens after Beautiful Things. You have an exhibition.
Before Beautiful Things.
Just before though.
It was 2020. My first proper exhibition was 2020.
You know which one I'm talking about.
Sculptures.
Yeah, the sculptures.
Yeah, it was 2020.
2020. That's about a year before.
A year before, yeah.
Because it felt like it happened like just after each other. It felt like you
Yeah.
did that, and then you're like, okay,
It's time.
I'm doing that because of that.
Yeah.
And then you do that, and because I feel like there was such a concept around those sculptures, right? And the medium that you used was also extremely different to what everyone else is doing. Where about did the concept come from, and the narrative? Like, you woke up one morning and you're like, okay, I'm doing that, because I saw it was very close to you. It was a very much personal project.
So what I did was, I had like this idea of repurposing paper into other things. I had bought this machine that kind of allowed me to play around, you know? And I was like, oh, you can plot and then cut. So I'll do things, get stuff, cut it. And I was like, oh man, so I have a studio. So I'm like, my mind goes wild, you know, like, oh, I can do this. So now I come up to this thing of like cutting paper into portraits. So making a stencil, but not a stencil. But the stencil that you see on the wall, it's not the subject, it's the thing that makes the stencil the subject.
Right.
So the paper then became the subject. So I'd play around with that. I did some stuff, I'll show you, but I did some stuff playing around with the idea. And then I went to the gallery and I said to the guys, so before that, I went to Pretoria to go print on steel, to print this piece using steel, like it's about 20% over true size. So it's like a bit bigger than what you would be as a form, you know? And then I was like, this is cool. I think I need to pitch. So I pitched to the gallery different directions for the show that I wanted to have with them. And they were like, cool, but we like this one the most, which was steel. And the steel was already there, you know? So like, can you explore this? So I was like, cool. So I did like more characters, you know? And then these characters has to also align to where I'm at in terms of like the landscape. So it was called Shadows of My Freedom, because the work was layered in the sense that we don't know that we connect, but we do. There's an interlink where there were different people. There's a sneakerhead there. There's like a modern lady. There's a cheese boy. There's a rich auntie. There's a slave queen. There's a wasaparo. There's a culture guy. It's like 8 characters. And there's a young and lazy. You know, young and lazy play on young and lazy, but like young and lazy, like, you know, there was a time where, you know, people would say like, these young boys, these young kids are lazy, you know? Right. So there's that element. But in all of these people, they look at each other like that, but we are all connected. If I was to ask you, Jorge, who are you? You'd tell me who you are, and I'll tell you that, oh, actually, my cousin is just like you. And if you told me who he is, I was like, oh, actually, my brother is exactly like you. You know, maybe there's always a connection to people that we never really pay attention to, right? Right. So, mewasapa, ruko taxiing, and then one a slave queen on the other side of the road saying, you know. But maybe that's same. Your sister has a daughter that lives in Sandton. That's the same, you know. Right. So just trying to connect people to say we should start looking at each other a little different and not judging so much, because everything that you think is not who you are,
it's a part of you.
It's a part of you, because it can relate to your brother like this. Right. Do you get me? Maybe your maybe if your dad judged me. You feel me? It's possible, right?
Yes.
What is this guy's wearing, like boots, hoches, or whatever the case may be? But then me and his son are like one person in the sense that we connect. Right. So it's like never leave room for people and allow people to move, you know? So the work was based off that. It was layered, man. Like, I killed it. You know, like, so I have 3 things now. I have like Beautiful Boys that I think I've started and I killed it. Beautiful Boys, that show, and my workshops at the moment. So that falls under the same idea where you like, some people say you can't strike twice, you can't strike. I keep striking, because for me, it's like, I'm not gonna strike in the same place, obviously. Right. If I'm gonna do beautiful ornaments, it's not gonna work. Beautiful girls, no, it's not gonna strike. But if I move from the T to a show, it's gonna strike. Because if I move to making a building, it's like now the farmhouse, you know what I mean? Like I built a farmhouse, that's a strike, because that's not something that you could say that's a part of the conversation, you know? Right. So if we look at you, we're like, yo, the brand was incredible. You did Dead. And then maybe a strike when the first local brand of our culture to go to archive to be stocked through those platforms at 4scene, right? TFG.
Right.
That's a strike,
Right.
you know? And then now when you pull up the whip, it's like, this is unexpected, but it's a strike because we
Right.
understand what he's doing here. And now even now with what you're doing now, it's also like a strike. He managed to strike twice with the brand, but it's still a strike.
I get you.
You know, so I'm able to move in that way. So yeah, then that show was like, man, it just started a lot of things for me, you know?
Right, and then fine, Beautiful Things. What happens after Beautiful Things? Is it these master classes?
No, it's like I built a house. So I moved from the city.
Okay.
So I was like, nah, I was going through a lot, you know, those that don't know. But I was going through my shit and, you know, I'm a father now. Hey, there's a lot going on, you know, in my life personally. And I'm like, yo, and as much as you're an artist and you're all these things, you know, and I'm gonna say this for real, like, you're a man, you know what I'm saying? And like, men get tested, you know?
Yeah.
And men get tested through circumstances.
Yes.
And circumstances based off how we came up, you know? Yeah, innocently I moved out the hood and it was nice, you know? Could have gotten, maybe I can get a car, I could da-da-da-da, you know, I live uptown and be good. But reality is, utswava, and how's that looking? You know?
Right.
You know, like realize, damn, like I don't have a mom, I don't have a dad. They left me a belt. My dad left me a belt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I lost the belt, but you know, that's all I got. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't have a home, man. You know, I'm like, shit, this gotta change. Because I have a daughter now. Where does she say, where you from, daddy? You know, I'm from Alex. But Alex, you own as much as, you own as far as your stoop. You can't say shit because you don't own that, you know?
Right.
So is that where I'm trying to take my daughter? Is that where I'm trying to go with my life? No. So I'm saying life can test you as a man, and that some people don't have to do it. You don't have to. We have different obligations, but my obligation was I need to build a home for myself, for my daughter, for my family, like, you know, so that I can be able to say, no, shit can leave. I have a home. And so I went, looked for land, bought like 15 hectares, and I built the crib, you know what I'm saying? Like, and literally to this day, I'm working on it, you know? So when I closed up the shop, it was getting too much for me.
Too much in which sense?
Too much in the sense that I'm trying to focus on the art stuff.
So it's not that it wasn't making money?
Nah, it was making money, but I was like, I can't split myself into two. This is taking too much of my time to make this money. It's great, but I'm not committing to this thing as much. So I do the Adidas commission with the rug.
Yes.
And during that time, I realized that, okay, I love this work shit, you know, and the shop is losing me. And also when you're not there, you're gonna lose customers.
Yes.
People can see that you're not in it anymore, you know. So I tell the guys that I think I'll take it out for 6 months. I can't do anything more than that, which is what happened, you know. And then while I was doing that, I bought the land and I was building the house in conjunction with running the shop, you know.
Right.
So when I closed the shop in June, July, I stayed about 2-3 months and I decided, nah, let me leave, go to the farm. So I sold my car. I had a bakkie and another car. So I sold the car to get a solar system because, you know, electricity and shit. So I was like, let me sell this car, get this money. That shit is expensive, right? So let me just put a solar system. I'll drive my van for a little
And when did you get the money for the farm, like the land?
It was through
or the art?
through my first show, my nigga. Like the show that I'm talking about, yeah, it saved me. Like because I'd saved that money. Like when I don't, obviously, but the money was like good enough for me to move it and build a house while I was doing this. Obviously, getting crazy commissions because they're bigger now, So you wouldn't get like the usual stuff that you'd get, but you get a big one that pays a lump sum.
Yep.
And that kind of works out. And the shop helped build a house, and selling shoes helped build a house, and a whole lot of shit. Like I sell shit. Be like, I don't care. Like if I have to move shit to be okay,
you're selling it.
I sell it. So because I can do it again,
Right.
So I sold cars, sold a lot of things, man, to get through it. So yeah, but because I didn't want to stop the building. When they say, hey, cement fedile, you're like, okay, well, man, So if you stay, the reason, then it got to the roof. When you have to do the roof, they're like, nigga's gonna be like,
no, that's the most bags.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like,
even in
let's do
architecture,
half.
you know that. Like,
We do half. So I was like, okay, I'll send them the half.
The roof is different.
Half of the money for the roof.
Yeah.
On a Tuesday. So like, okay, I'll send you guys half.
You remember very well how on
Yeah,
Tuesday?
it was a Tuesday. And then they did the half.
Yeah.
On Thursday. They're like, we are done.
Oh my goodness
I'm like,
gracious.
God damn, this is getting too much. Whatever, for where I stay. So I made a decision, you know what, I'm going to leave the city. And, you know, it's going to be hard for me as a dad, you know, but I'll have to do the sacrifice because it's for something, you know.
Yeah.
So I had to leave the city, kilo plomagada, while I'm building. Also, I'm driving a van now, so it makes sense that side. The Audi that I was driving didn't make sense in the bush, you know. So I was like, let me figure it out. So I drove the van, packed my shit, left, you know, in October. You know, funny thing, I left in October, did my things there, chilled. It was real, man. I won't lie. But eventually it came together the way I wanted. I did my plumbing proper, you know, myself. You know, did electricity proper.
Yourself?
Myself, yes.
What do you mean yourself?
Myself. Or maybe on Google. But me and Google, we did that. You know? Yeah, like I learned, I had to figure things out.
Are you fucking serious right now?
Bro, I'm telling you. Don't hire me though, but like, you know, I'm not trying to look for a job as a plumber, but trust me, I know. Because let me tell you something. What I mean by testing as a man, for me, there's this idea of like masculinity that they're trying to say man, you know, take up space and stuff like that, which I understand, right?
Yeah.
But me, my thing about masculinity and being a man is like there's certain things that we have to know as men.
Load shedding.
You know?
But let's
And
proceed. It should kick back up. Yeah.
There's things that we need to understand as niggas, like as guys, because I'm just saying, if I can inform you about how to fix your drainage system, you know?
Yeah.
Or how to know the world around you so that life becomes easier. Sometimes I don't want to call a nigga to come to my house to fix shit that I could do myself.
Right.
So that place taught me that, like it put me in the deep end of know how to connect water pipes, know how to run a water system. You know, like I have a great water system in my house. I know how that shit works. Know how to connect to Chupa Electric proper. Know how things work. Know what a 10 amp,
Dude,
20 amp.
You learned that all off Google.
Yeah, off YouTube. And I was like, okay. But also my stepdad was like a handy guy, so I've seen that growing up.
So you know it's not like that's a point of reference. It's not
yeah,
too far
but
off.
it wasn't like, okay, so the point is, well, you know, it's crazy. So this is a little deep, but my stepdad, when I looked at him, I was like, this guy's very powerful in what he can do, you know? So I was like, yo, if he leaves my mom's, we fucked. Feel me? Because now I'm a boy, I'm thinking like he can leave, you know?
Right.
So like if he leaves my mom's, we fucked. The only thing I know how to do, go out bang stool, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, nah, things gotta change, you know? So
that's when you started getting handy.
Getting handy and being very curious about the things that I need
like
to understand.
How do you do this? How do you do
yeah.
that?
So that place was like a testing ground for what I can do.
Right.
To this day, I'm learning things, dog. Like, there's a lot of shit.
So you're not afraid to learn something new?
No, as long as it's adding into my shit, you know, because, like I said,
yeah.
And, you know, maybe that's testament to my other situations that I've been a part of that couldn't work out. You know? And maybe I wasn't ready because I wasn't ready as a man, you know?
Right.
And sometimes when you feel like, okay, now I think I'm good as a man, like I have a home, where someone could say, yeah, I'm like, but I have a home. You know, having a home makes you, you know the confidence that niggas at homes have?
Yeah, dude, because not having a home means you're a straight dog.
Yeah, so
like if shit had to come to a stop now, like to a halt.
Fucked.
Cool. To a halt, you have nowhere to go.
You have nowhere to go. And now imagine I mean, I get it, but I'm not even saying like some fancy shit. I'm not talking that. I'm talking like, you know, I'm going to the farm, remote, off-grid. I'm not saying I'm going to Santon or Parkhurst or wherever. I'm going to, so I understand what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to flex.
Right.
I'm saying just having a base. A lot of niggas have homes. Come on,
doesn't matter where it is.
I didn't have that. My mom didn't leave me that. Like one time I went home, go Kiani dog. I had to sleep on the floor. I drive an Audi A4. I was like, this does not make sense. Because then, when I'm here, I have a grand, but I can't nothing. I have to sleep on the floor.
Fair.
And I'm like, in as much as I want to connect with my roots and where I'm from, this got to change, you know? So that's when that happened. So then I moved. Obviously, my place is not 6 hours away. It's like 2 hours away from here. So yeah, that was another journey. That was like actually a big part of the man that you see today.
And
from the confidence to like my insecurities, living the room. You know what I'm saying? Like my anxieties. You know what I mean? Like I had mad anxiety. Like now I can have like, well, which I can have 20 rand in my bank account, my nigga. I won't feel it's just what it is. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
so crazy.
Because
That's
I'm
insane.
like, I'm okay. You
No,
feel me?
I feel you. I totally feel you. Okay, cool. So you're doing all these things. So what's next? Oh, because of where you are right now in your life, I would assume that where you are is taking you to the next level of Lazi. And I know how creative people are.
Yeah.
They always communicate that when it comes to anything creative. So with where you are right now, where you don't have necessarily the anxieties and you're free and you've got this farmhouse that you're building, I'm assuming that you're at a better place and then you're at a more open-minded space. So what are you working on right now and what future plans do you have?
Yeah, at the moment, it's more like everything becoming full circle, you know?
Yeah.
Like literally integrating the art, the creativity, a little bit of family, you know, into everything else that I'm doing. You
Okay.
know? So for instance, with the farm, like I'm busy with these workshops that I'm doing now,
Dope.
like which is giving back to the creative community and making sure that at least they can, if you get it from me, I'm sure there's some kind of credibility. You get me? Like
you sure?
you know? So pretty much keeping that alive.
Okay.
And also integrating it into the space, the farm, right?
Okay.
By full circle is like, because property is a lot. It differs, you know? And even like when you buy land, the typical, thing is like you're gonna farm, you're gonna get goats and cows. That's cool, but I'm not there yet.
Yes.
You know? But where I'm at now is more like integrating the space within the creative, so like community, you know, maybe have like creative retreats at the farm and
Dope.
things like that.
That's
you know?
crazy.
Yeah, so there, and then also like continuing to build work that is now, for instance, the first show that we spoke about is the work language, or that kind of body of work is coming back again.
Right.
Because I feel like
It's too strong.
yeah, and then I was doing stuff that was more like industrial, so I had like a little bit of control, but not all the way. So
Okay.
now I have control all the way from the beginning to the end, and you can see I know what happens, and the work wears and tears in the way that I want it to, you know. So that's where I'm at now, man, you know. And I think it's a space where it's like it allows me to tap into, because by full circle I mean like I've done so many things over the years that it's coming
back to this.
Yeah, and it comes back to one
And
thing.
every piece that you've ever built is coming back into, it's basically holding each other's hand.
Yeah.
Any new works?
Yeah, the new works.
Any new gallery vibes?
You know what? I'm trying to,
Keep it on the hush?
I think so, but I'm trying to be more independent, if I may put it that way.
Okay.
And maybe hopefully start our own little thing, you know. And I guess with the workshops, it makes sense because with the workshops, we are actually literally looking at talent, and we are literally identifying talent, you know.
Right.
When someone says, be my mentor, it's one thing, you know, because it's like I can mentor you, and then that's one person.
Right.
But, might not be the fit still.
Right.
But then when you have a class of 15 people,
Anyone can shine.
anyone can shine.
And you're giving everyone
but it's
the
15
level
people.
ground. Right.
It's 15 people that you're impacting.
Sure.
Whether they get it or not, it's 15 people.
Sure.
So with that kind of allows, you are going to identify some talent there. And I think then where do they go, you know?
Right.
So maybe hopefully we can work through some things and get like long-term partnerships with some companies or brands so we can start a little creative hub that can then allow these kids that come to these classes to have access to the stuff so they don't leave Alvaya. It's like I want to create a production house, you know?
Right.
Where, we'll talk in terms of, because I know you have like I don't know if you know this, but like you have knowledge for production that a lot of people don't understand. And I understand it because I love production, and production in the sense of producing things, making things, which is like the yay mentality that I've gathered. And I look at people that make things that are because I look at things, for instance, if you go to Levi and you make this thing, it'd be hard to kind of make it this way because they have to make it in those little sections.
Yes.
But how you did it and how it doesn't cut, wherever it joins, if it joins or was it the full thing, it worked out and it works. So I look at those things like that, like this bottle, it's not a sticker, it's printed on the thing, the bottle itself. It's
gives it more credibility.
It gives it more credibility, it gives it more,
100%.
the level changes. Like this laser, whatever the fuck this is, it's like attention to detail.
And he's literally talking about this. If you guys
You
can't
know,
see,
it's fire, like in a way. So for me, it's like those are things that I'm interested in. So if we open up this creative hub, it's like I don't leave you guys with nothing. You come to the workshop, you work, and then you have like this high. Where do we take it? You know, what do we do with that energy?
Dope.
We need to still have it be exercised without. Because my point is, I want that hence they free to the candidates. You know, I'm trying to gun for sponsors to be able to give us some support so we can keep doing these things. But the whole point is like if you have a hub, the hub has all the resources, like a printing machine, all kinds of printing machines, like all kinds of things. All you have to bring is your t-shirts and we're gonna vet them. Like, nah, these are not good ones. Maybe try these guys. You have to pay for something to fill the pinch,
Of course.
but you might do 10%, 20, 30% of the work, we do the rest. And the rest by meaning that we're helping you do the rest, you know? And that's the whole point of these classes. I have a model where my model is I do 1, 2, maybe 3, and you do 4, 5. Why? A lot of people give up before they start because of the beginning.
Yes.
Imagine if you wanted to drive so bad, but
Yeah.
like start with the learner, start with this, and then I'll feel like nah, I'm full no drive. You know? But if you understand now, they put you in a seat and you've driven a car,
yeah,
and they're like, to continue though, you need to get your license.
that's what
You're
you gotta
like,
do.
nigga, I'm on it because you've already
Right.
understood.
You know how
You
to
got
do
the
it.
thing, you busted that nut. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like after you after you do that, you're like, nah, now I can do it.
Post
you know?
nut clarity.
Right. So what I need, I give them like, I put them where I design and prepare the work.
Right.
After preparing the work, they come in, I teach them how to do this like this.
Okay.
They do that. Then they wanna like go back to say, okay, now I have a design. Where do I go to get it printed on a screen?
Right.
Where do I get my inks?
Right.
You know, but because they've already taken that thing out and like, no, I want this.
Now they need to put it together
You get me?
themselves.
So
I get
how
you.
many
I
people
get
go to
you.
school for like years and then realize that I don't want to do this because the final is not necessarily what I had in mind.
100%.
You get me?
I
Maybe you want
get
to
you.
build buildings. You want to be an architect. How about we take you in? Those platforms are available. Like
Right.
people are building buildings today.
We actually show you
There's no
what
bureaucracy.
it takes to draw this thing.
Why? Why is there like
Actually,
no access?
you kind of have a good point because what you're basically saying is
I'm not
the
disturbing
first
you.
year of school should be me going through what an architect actually does
Yeah.
so that I
can
can decide
decide
if
if
that's
I
what I
want.
actually want to do.
100%.
Rather than me going through this whole process and then getting to the end and realizing that, oh shit, like no, this is completely different from what I thought it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you because that's what, that's literally what has happened to me in a couple of
a
other
lot of
things. And that's
people.
like 100 true, I mean, that's like 100% right. So we're going towards the end of our show.
Yeah.
There's this thing called,
But I want to say something
yes,
before that. Like,
you said.
is that the idea of the model, this model,
Yes.
is that we're trying to give you a degree in a couple of days. It's like a
Okay.
shortcut. Cheat code is like whatever degree you want. I'm not discrediting
The
the
rest.
effort and the work that you put in to get what you need, but I just feel like with what we do, there's some things that you don't have to do it for that long to get through it. you know?
Right.
It just needs practice, and the practice then makes it easier to stay in
Makes it
the practice
100%.
itself. You know. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's like a cheat code, man. You know.
I get you. I really do. I really do. Food for thought. I'm going to think about it.
Yeah.
So is this thing 5 quiz? It's a new thing. I need to test you, bruv.
Knowledge, general
Yeah,
knowledge.
it's like a young general knowledge thing. Like, I can see you. I can tell you read, nigga.
Yo, don't put me on the spot now.
Because
It's
this
a
thing's on
public-
my phone. So, okay, cool. First question. Who is the first democratic president of South Africa?
Democratic.
Yeah.
It has to be Nelson Mandela.
Yes, it is.
But it's so simple. You feel like no way.
The thing is, it's simple to us, but I can bet you a lot of people don't know that it's the first democratic president.
Because it's semantics.
Yeah, it's-
Democratic. What does that mean? You know what I mean?
100%.
So it's based on what is being said and how it's being said.
100%.
I hear you.
Did you register to vote? It's not a quiz, but
Well, you know, I don't have to register because I've registered. Don't you have to register once and then
no,
you're
you
there
have to register again.
again?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So every season has a new time to register because obviously some people die, you know,
okay.
respectfully. So
Nah, I'm not into. I don't have political ties, so no, I haven't, but I will, I guess. We need to get this. Is there something we need to do?
yeah,
The
you do.
government.
Of course, there's something we need to do with the government. I can't really say it on camera because you never know.
How
Like
much?
just out of country, I'd give you a call to like, yo, we see
Those
dead
guys-
ready, yo, let's give you a bag.
Yo, me, I'm scared of government money.
I
bro.
know, but dude, it is what it is, blood.
I'm just saying me. But if you have it, you can give it to me as a third party. Happy to take it. But straight me going there, I never.
Next question. Which township is the largest in South Africa?
It has to be Soweto.
You're right, spot on. It really is. Next question. What did Nkosi Johnson die from?
Kosi Johnson, dog, that was painful. He passed away from HIV and AIDS. Was it not that?
100%, you're right.
There was in our history, there's like young people that died and there was sentimental, I guess.
Yeah, because
Hector Peterson and Kosi Johnson.
I think Nkosi Johnson, the thing about him was
he was thrilled.
HIV was still a very new thing to people in the country.
Yeah.
So they made him an activist. I don't know if he was the first child to really be affected by it, to be quite honest, but I know for sure he was an activist, and that's why it was a painful story, because he was an activist. He contracted it because I think his dad had it and whatnot. Okay, next question. Which musical artist raised awareness of apartheid to the world through music? There's a leader, one main one.
Mera Makeba.
100%. Oh, you got 5 out of 5. Look at you.
Come on, baby. You put me inside here. I told you.
5 out of 5. Okay, cool. So we get at the end of the show. What is your word of the day? Could be the word of the day to you. It could be something you live by. Like, what is something you live by that you think other people could possibly adopt from that in order to kind of achieve, or rather get to a point where you are in your life as not necessarily an artist per se, but as a human being?
So I have these words of the year. Every year I have a word.
Okay.
Last year was intention.
Okay.
So I like just put your, be intentional. Obviously these things, they just become part of the bag. You just put them, they don't leave these words, they still remain, but you add them into this little thing,
Right.
So last year's word was intention, and I just was intentional about everything that I was doing, which I continue to do because it stayed,
Okay.
And I think I'm reading this book called, Ikigai. So trying to find your Ikigai, which is like secret codes of happiness, Japanese kind of way,
Okay.
And what I learned there is that you need to find it. You need to find your own Ikigai, which it could be anything that gives you a flow to live, work, and create happily,
Okay.
And my way to, which I've realized is that clutter, like a lot of things in your space, you need to kind of like clear it, So you can find your own way, but I think my way is like, I don't need anything to distract me from the flow. So when I wake up in the morning, I already know what I'm gonna wear. I don't, hence I sold, my shit. It's like, it was part of that was to declutter my life, Not to say that my life is chaotic, but I just wanted to be less clutter around and have things that...
What's the second reason?
The money, nigga. But to sell the shoes. Yeah, it was the money, of course. I was like, this money chilling. I don't even wear these things, but yeah, money, bro. We love this shit. Antidepressant, number 1, money. I'm telling you. But yeah, like, so just decluttering the space, and just, so there's this thing, clean, I'm told. Your house have to be clean. When you pray for rain, you have to clean the house. But that's a metaphor, like it's a, like it's so that it's like it's a metaphor for, if you
need
want
to create space.
Yeah, for good things.
In order for what you want to happen.
Yeah, if you don't clean the house and you want to pray for rain in a sense of it could be money, happiness.
Like if I want to buy a car in the future, I have to get a license now, whether that means anything to me right now or not.
So cleaning your house is you. You are the body, the thing that's caging. You are the house. What's inside is like your organs and stuff and your mental, whatever. But you have to clean like your mind. You have to clear things, because if because there's things that are blocking. There's blockage, So it's like if your house is chilling and there's a log from last year on the roof, it rains, that shit falls, it goes all the way down and fucks up your window, you know. Or, you know, there's a leak, you haven't fixed that leak, it rains, it fucks up the whole house, but you prayed for rain, you know. So when we pray for rain, I took this from like a big homie, you know, his name is Naho Mashego. He told me, it's like, if you pray for rain, clean your house, you know. So whatever you want in life, whether it's like a job, money or career or whatever, you need to clean your house, make peace with some people, or let go of some people, or let go of some things, open up that, because blockage, you think, no, there's blockage. All you have to do is like to be honest with yourself and say, does this matter to me? So that's the journey that I'm going. Like I want peace, you know, and just making sure that I live my life with a clear mind, you know, and just things that don't really add value, they're gone, you know, because all this parts of shop much you're not gonna go in there and you are just gonna buy. Them 30 niggas ain't buying shit.
Yeah.
You know, you are gonna buy, but you won't go in there because you're like, you know. So they lost the sale because they kept people that had no value to them.
Sure.
And they lost value because value just went like this.
That's a very good analogy.
You know, yeah, analogy, that's the word. Hey, Donnie, let's get it. That's what I want. It came so simple. Ikigai, this is
it came simple because I live my life by analogies. Anyone that knows me knows that I make analogies. So that's the easiest way to explain anything to anyone. It's analogies. So
that's the analogy. The analogy is like clean your shit, man. Clean your house.
Is that your word for the day?
Yeah, clean your house, niggas.
Cool. Thank you so much for the time, man. It's been a long time coming. It's an amazing talk. You've got a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Man, I wish you all the luck.
Yeah.
I not even wish you all the luck, man.
I need that. Nigga.
I wish you all...
No, don't take it back. Nigga. I need the luck. What you saying?
I wish you all the luck.
Wish me the luck.
Okay, I wish
and
you all...
whatever you wanted to say.
Okay, I wish you all the luck.
Yes.
All the blessings.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of the things you want in life are pretty inevittable. How do I know this? You know, it's very rare that you find people that don't mind learning new things, that actively chase learning new things and implement them. Even if you're implementing it for 5 minutes, but you went the whole way for 5 minutes. And that means you have, and I'm not saying this because I'm a successful man, I'm gonna be, but...
you are a successful man.
I am, but I mean,
I look successful off your shit.
I know, but I have high aspirations, you know what I mean? Right. Like, just based on my aspirations, you know? It's just practicing what you preach in your mind is one of the most important things, and seeing you doing that means there's a fire inside of you that cannot dim. So, yeah, man, your life was inevitable. It's made. It's already done. But, yeah, thank you so much, guys, for watching this episode of Dead Radio. Your main man, Bang, is dead.
Yeah, we did it. Which season is this?
Season 4.
Damn.
I wanted you on like season 2, but those guys are busy, man.
Season 4 is good. You see
yeah, season 4 is great. We had different places in our lives,
yeah.
so season 4 is great. So,
good.
Thank you very much.
Peace,
and
man.
we out.
Thanks,
And you're live on Dead Radio.